Hello there. I'm Kyo Cerrone Beatmaker, and welcome to the Monday Mindset Rants. And on this episode, we're going to discuss helping others perfect themselves. Make sure to hit that like button, leave a comment with your thoughts below, and make sure to subscribe. Equal to this function is helping others to become strong and perfect themselves as unique individuals. Dr. Leo, by perfecting oneself, an individual lives by example. By practicing the art of living, such displays in action and lifestyle become contagious and inspirational to those who witness such revolutionary evolution of growth in real time. To become transfixed in the allure of the individual who continues to perfect themselves, inspiring others to live by example with such rhetoric, to show the world by proving to themselves they can be the best version of themselves by being better than yesterday. Many of us are not blessed to have such strength. That has been, that is the lie told to many. To prevent them from becoming the best versions of themselves, to stifle their growth, to hold them back for the fear of losing themselves. Such corruption is never ending and can be a constant overcast over an individual's life, preventing them from being capable of finding the strength within to embrace the art of living. So it is up to us, the warriors of light, to guide others towards the warrior within, and learning the techniques to drown out the darkness by standing taller than shadows. For the perfection of I is a continuing educational unit of the soul. And learning, we must be willing and aiding others in perfection of self, creating a blossoming of unique individuals with unified morals and creed, elevated by the values in the art of living, displayed as warriors of light. You may be asking yourself, what do I mean by warriors of light? Well, I got it from Pablo Coelho, who's a very famous and renowned author. He wrote the book The Alchemist, which for me is one of my favorite books. I consider it a Bible, you could say. And he has a book that's also associated with it called the um, the Warrior of Light. And I really love that book. It's a beautiful book. It's wonderful. And the reason why I am using the Warrior of Light is because I believe that all of us as individuals, we have a we do have a light and a darkness to us. And yes, they have to be balanced out, but you know, in every light there is always going to be a shadow. But you have to be able to stand taller than your shadow. And I know physically that's not always the case, but I'm speaking metaphorically. And as warriors of light, we are individuals who understand and embrace our humanity. And we embrace the conscious life. We embrace being in the moment, even if we have our moments of weakness, which we all do. When we get caught up in our feelings, when we get caught up in our thoughts, when we get caught up in our relationships, in our failures, in our insecurities, in our vices, whatever it may be. But as warriors of light, we are aware that we are more than our sins, our failures, our mistakes, our insecurities. We know that many of those are lessons to be lived and learned. And we also know that being self aware of who we are allows us to improve on what we are as individuals and how we affect our personal universe and the world around us. And by being able to live on such a path, which is a challenge in and of itself, and that is part of the journey. But as a warrior of light, you are a individual who lives and leads by example. You pave a path for yourself by the light that you display within your actions, within your morals, within your choices, within your words, with how you live your life. And as warriors of light, we understand and we see the potentiality that others have in being such warriors of light. Why do you think I speak my words? For anyone out there who denies themselves, for anyone out there who does not see the potentiality within themselves, who don't see the light that's within, especially during these trying and dark times. It is more prevalent now that we support one another and we embrace each other in aiding and perfecting our humanity and being the best versions of ourselves. As tough as that may be, it is crucial for our individual well being. How else will we succeed if we continue to deny one another? If we continue to embrace the division, embrace the propaganda, the manipulation, as they continue to overcast individuals' light with dark rhetoric and schemes and machinations. You see it all around you, especially in America. And I know my words might seem a little inflammatory to some, but I mean no harm. I'm only speaking honestly and from my perspective. Take what works for you and filter out the rest. But needless to say, I believe that we are all capable of supporting one another. They have done such a marvelous job of dividing us to the point where we are paranoid of each other, and so much so we're paranoid of ourselves. And people have forsaken and erased their individuality for safety in numbers, numbers of indoctrination, of propaganda, of manipulation, of telling you you're no good, of telling you that everyone else is the enemy, that you are more human than others. And when was the last time we've heard such rhetoric spoken before? Take your pick. Holocaust, the Rwanda genocide, the Armenian genocide, events in our time where people were manipulated into division, into viewing others as not even human, not even seeing the beauty in one another, the potentiality in one another. And I see that stirring here, especially after the events that happened today in Tennessee. And this is the situation that we are all experiencing. This push to forsaken your humanity and embrace the transhumanist mentality, where to be human is to be and to live and speak heresy. How are we to, as warriors of light, how are we to humor such nonsense? As the words I speak now are words to encourage others to embrace the light within, to balance out the shadows. And yes, it's hard, and yes, it's tough, but that is the beauty of being human. That is the beauty of being on this planet, is to have the privilege to embrace such a challenge and all the wonders and pain and joys and frustrations that come with it. That is why I constantly stress live life as a lesson learned. When you live life as a lesson learned, you lead others into living in such a lifestyle. You inspire others to improve themselves. they see the potential of you, and they look to themselves and they question, is that potential in me? And you tell them, of course, you're human just as me. You just have to find the will within yourself to choose to embrace such potentiality. Many are afraid to embrace such potentiality. But how else are we to grow and evolve if we do not seek out challenges? Just as much as a new person in the live stream will hit that like button, and I appreciate you joining in. But we have to realize and understand that by living life by example, we are proving to ourselves that we are capable of being the best version of ourselves. And that is a continuing education unit of life. You never stop learning. And by being the best version of yourself is by learning to improve yourself, by learning who you are, and by embracing the evolutionary changes of your mindset to maintain a physicality that is incongruent with your mindset and who you try to be. What type of individual do you wish to be when you leave this planet and you continue on to your next spiritual journey, wherever that may be? Will you leave this world feeling true within who you are, as to be able to face the next challenges that come? That is the joy and wonder and curiosity of the world we find ourselves in. But it's really up to you as the individual to want to make such choices. And to be afraid is to be human, but to make excuses, you're just playing the victim. And I have no time for people who live their life as a victim. For I was one myself. But I held myself accountable. And I grew out of such mindset. Because I embraced the challenges. I began to train my mind to see it all as a lesson. The reason why I will continue to say and repeat, live life as a lesson learned, is because you'll never be truly disappointed. You'll always learn from those lessons. It will always improve upon who you are as a person if you choose to view life in such a manner. And it's funny to interact with individuals who hear me speak in such a way and be like, how are you always so positive? And how are you always, trying to stay always so chipper? And it's like, well, it's, excuse me. It's not something that's easy, but it takes a certain type of mindset and willingness. And I say even when I'm down and out, I still will be grateful and remind myself how fortunate I am. And that's kind of the trick. You have to constantly also remind yourself how fortunate you are. Not everyone is as blessed as you are. And you may think you don't have it all, but living in America, you have more than many could even imagine. And that is something that I try to also instill in my type of lifestyle and the type of person I am. And I try to inspire others to look past the machinations of the mainstream media and go to the real people. Get your passport. Go out there. Go to the real world. Volunteer. See what it truly is. Seek out independent media and journalists. Understand what the real world is like. And then share that with others so that they may be able to do their own research and perfect their knowledge of humanity and those who stand against it and those who wish to do it harm and those who wish to replace it. That is another way of perfecting yourself, is by perfecting the knowledge of the world that inhabits you, that provides you the comforts. How many of us out there think to ourselves and become disgusted and ashamed at the fact that our own government has put blood on our hands by using our taxes for war and profiteering and exploitation and subjugation and discrimination. Take a second and think about that and ask yourself that. How often do you think about that? You look around and you look at the infrastructure of the United States and you look at every pothole in the road you have to avoid like you're in Hot Wheels or Fast and Furious, and ask yourself, where are my taxes going? I thought my taxes were meant to help and aid in perfecting humanity for the American people. These are things to reflect on and to ask yourself. And to spread such questions to others, to help others perfect their knowledge of the world that gives them all the blessings they could ever imagine. Especially if you live in America, especially if you live in Western countries. Well, maybe not France right now, or Germany, or the UK. But the fact remains that we have to aid one another in perfecting our understanding of this world that we live in and the body that we inhabit and what it represents. But I know that everything that I'm speaking and advocating for, some will consider it heresy, some will consider it taboo, some will say, bro, how much weed are you smoking? And I'm saying this is my own life experiences. This is what I have lived and what I believe in and what I have seen and what I know is possible. And I think that's the that's the funny thing about it. You you stay true to who you are, and you aim to be a mindful individual. You aim to be an aspiring individual. You aim to be a person that others can look towards as someone to not necessarily lead them in all the glory and all the gold, but to inspire them to lead themselves and to lead others. You know, excuse me. I believe that we can all be leaders. And when the time is right and necessary, to be a follower. But that also takes having to support one another and to put aside certain ideologies and rhetoric that distracts us from our humanity, from the beauty of being. It's fascinating and sad to see so many people caught up in these in the parasitic mind, these hive mentalities, this propaganda mindset. They spend their days in such darkness, never spending time living. And I feel for those individuals. I feel for the people who have drank the Kool-Aid. Some of them are damn well sucking off the taint of the Kool-Aid at this point. And I feel for them. And I see what it's doing to them. I see how sad and miserable and isolated they are, even in their communities. You can see it. It doesn't matter what side you're on. But you can see it on both sides. It doesn't matter. But one side is more outspoken than the other. And there's no unity. There's no humanity anymore. Everyone is looking at everyone as inhumane. And yes, don't get me wrong, there is inhumane behavior and actions, and I'm not downplaying any of that stuff. But what I mean is that they are manipulating us into seeing each other as less than. They don't want us to know the strength and unity in seeing each other as humans, as acknowledging our flaws and acknowledging that we can all improve. That this world that we are in can be improved, that we are capable of improving it, and to take back our autonomy. But so many people have been duped, have been coerced, have been manipulated, have been broken down by the system, by the machine, by the matrix, whatever you have it, by the reptilians, whatever. You name it. They do that perfect on purpose. They fear our unity and they fear our perfection more than you know it. And they've done a wonderful job of forcing us to be afraid of who we are. Why do you feel that they have such a need to make us feel as if we are the enemy? to hate who we are, to hate how we were born, to hate how we think, to hate how we feel, to hate who we pray. Constantly, constantly making everything an enemy and forcing you to embrace this transhumanistic mentality where humanity is a sickness, that the parasite is the cure. It's it's shameful. It is truly shameful to see people willingly embrace it, especially those who know the agenda, who know its plans, but still embrace it because that Kool-Aid is sweet. That false reality is delicious. The bliss of ignorance in that false reality, it's orgasmic. There's no accountability. There's no self-awareness. There's only the parasite. You find yourself stuck with a worm. You're no different than Savathun. Because once you feed that worm, you can't stop feeding it. You become like Savathun, you become like Oryx, you become like Sivu Arath, feeding your worm the darkness in order to keep yourself secure and free of accountability and living blissfully in ignorance in your echo chambers. And the moment you step out of line in that echo chamber, they cast you out, put a bullet in your head, and send you down the river Styx with no coins. Pay your fee. Is that the life you want to live? Go ahead. That is your choice. But take the consequences, the good and the bad. Because in those communities, there's no aiding one another in perfection of humanity. Because humanity does not exist, as I have just clearly stated. But go ahead. Go ahead. See how close they cast you out. Dox you, harass you, threaten you. Yet I am a threat for my values and beliefs and what I advocate for. I am a threat. Some might even call me a white supremacist. I mean, granted, it would be applicable because on the census I am white. Oh, yeah. System ain't got nothing on me. But I digress. The point remains that we, as warriors of light, we need to call this stuff out and stand true and call it out in a respectable, reasonable manner and listen. But we must hold firm and stand tall. And granted, that is a difficulty. But like I said, this is a beauty of life. Excuse me. This is a privilege of being human. So you must seek out that challenge, embrace it, and overcome it. How else will you evolve? How else will you improve? How else can you define yourself and your character? Some people don't want to change, and that's okay. That's their choice. Some people don't want to allow communities of individuals who are unified under morals and creeds to live and speak and advocate for what they deem worthy and justice and justified. Let them. Let them eat themselves. You're seeing it on both sides. Let them eat themselves. They've made their beds. Let them lay in it. Get nice and cozy. Because I'm big on choice. I'm big on your own personal responsibility. Like I said, there are positive and negative consequences to every action that we take. There are ripple effects. And we have to live with our choices. And for some of us, those choices, the internet is forever. So, when you see these people out there on the social medias advocating for rhetoric that would cause harm to humanity, know that those people will be the first ones to go if this transhumanistic agenda is seen through. Why, you ask? Because you can't trust the fanatics. You can't trust the cult. You can't have them running around. They cause problems, especially when the dust settles. That's why I am trying to believe in, and I speak such words to remind people of our humanity and to stand firm and hold fast to it. And I'm fully aware that there are higher powers at work that are manipulating, coercing, infiltrating, and causing all of this. That is what I have been saying in many ways. A moment a group of unified individuals with a moral and creed realize their power, they come to take that power away. They come to corrupt it, to manipulate it, to co-opt it. You're seeing that play out now in real time. You have to ask yourself, how do you want to be remembered? And not to the world, not to the history books, but to yourself. How do you want to be remembered when it's time for you to exit stage left off this earthly plane? What type of legacy do you wish to have? People pretend like they don't care about their reputation. No, they do. Reputation is no different than legacy. A bad reputation can stick with you even after your body has returned back to Earth, to Mother Gaia. And that reputation can then affect your family. That legacy can affect everything. And a lot of people are learning that the hard way right now. A lot of people are learning what accountability is. Excuse me. I need some food in my belly. But that same accountability, they'll realize it, especially when the group turns on them. This is all I'm trying to say. They don't want you to perfect yourself, because the moment you start talking about perfecting yourself and others, that's when they're going to come after you. And I don't advocate for any type of violence or anything like that. My words are just saying we need to, stick up for humanity as warriors of light. Speak reason. Speak peacefully, calmly. Engage. And those who are willing to engage. Those who are not, there's no point. Some people are just lost causes. Like I said, some people, the Kool-Aid has become the blood, and there's nothing else. You know, we are living in the era of the cults of personality, and there's no unity in cults, but there is in humanity. Cults have forgone humanity. They reject humanity. Go and study any cults of history or the present, and you tell me where you find humanity. Sure, you can argue there's no humanity in religion, but it's all a matter of perspective. Cults will say the same thing. But who are you as an individual? Are you an individual who acknowledges potentially your religion's past mistakes or current issues, but you still maintain to your faith because you know that you are an individual and you are not the church, or you are not the mosque, the temple? These are things that we all have to acknowledge and understand, especially when we are engaging in one another and trying to assist and help and aid one another. But I know my words are spoken easily, but the action is complex. But I do have hope. To quote the great Gandalf the Grey, fool's hope. But what can I say? Without hope, there's no will. I believe in humanity. I believe in the individual. I believe that we are purposely being withheld from our true potential. Such potential can only be perfected in the art of living. However, we are living in the times of the transhumanistic era, an era that seeks to replace the human condition with algorithms, circuitry, and wires. A false reality that's purpose is to deny us the perfection of our true self, to deny us our soul, to replace our humanity with machines. I stand firm against such ravenous storms of exploitation, manipulation, and propaganda. I stand for perfection of the human soul, found, cultivated, strengthened, and evolved by embracing our humanity. No one can take from us our humanity. It can only be forfeit. No matter how much the pharaohs viciously assault us with their agendas and their schemes, we will rise above such acidic waters and walk upon their darkness as warriors of light. Warriors who see the value in humanity of others, who are unified in their morals and creed that builds the foundation for their values and ethics. We, as warriors of light, must see the potential, and those who have denied themselves by being consumed in the darkness. We will shine out the darkness by extending our hands and pulling them back into their humanity, pulling them back into becoming the best version of themselves. Perfection is attained, not more can be added. Perfection is attained not when more can be added, but when no more can be removed. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Monday Mindset Rants. If you made it this far, please make sure to hit the like button. And if you're catching the replay, leave a comment with your thoughts below. And until next time, stay positive, stay focused, stay true, and much love.